it's not a weight loss diet. It's a health diet, and which will lead to weight loss in the end.
Eric, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I mean, carnivore's like not the beginning of the story. In the past, I have been overweight. My highest weight was about 200 pounds, waist size of about 38 inches. So that was quite a bit too much. And I lost weight through low carb dieting, Atkins diet, it was called back then. And I lost weight a couple of times because I lost it and then gained it again, as happens with a lot of people. But I mean, when I found carnivore, I wasn't actually particularly overweight. I was eating healthily, as people would say. Like I was, not eating a lot of crap. I was watching how many calories I ate and so on. And this was about 2015, May 2015. I was just browsing the internet and I came across Amber O'Hearn's website. Don't know if you've heard of her. Now, there's a famous quote by Michael Pollan, a diet author, says, eat food, not too much, mainly plants. That's his thing in his book. And what was on her website was like the reverse of that: eat meat, not too little, mainly fat. And so that kind of intrigued me, as because I'd kind of already done the low carb, so I knew about that, and I was and so I was reading up that, and she suggested just trying this carnivore, just only meat for 30 days, see what happens, because improves your, it's good for your health. It's not just about weight, obviously, and as I say, I wasn't particularly overweight, but it's eating as much as you want, not rather than watching calories and all that. And I do like to eat, so it intrigued me, so I did try it. And here I am 9 years later. So I kind of stuck with it. I mean, as I say, I wasn't particularly ill. I did have a few issues. I've suffered from eczema and dry skin all my life, and I was having a particularly sort of bad time then, and that cleared up very quickly. Now, it's not cured because I still get patches of eczema sometimes, dry skin sometimes, but it's not nearly as bad and not nearly as often. So that was one thing I noticed very quickly. Another was like I suffered from constipation a bit at the time, difficulty there, and that also went away fairly quickly. So those gains were good anyway, and I was feeling fine, so I just kept going, really.
So can I just clarify, you've been on it for 9 years?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Wow.
I started before it became cool, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah, like you were really going into it when there was, not much community out there, right?
That's right. I mean, there was a community. I discovered the zeroing in on health community. That was people like Charles Washington, Kelly Hogan, Dana Spencer back in the day, and they had a Facebook group, which I joined, still going, and and so nowadays there's a much bigger community, but I think the trouble with that, back in the day, there was like a unified message. It was a very simple message. When you're hungry, eat fatty meat until you are full, then go and get on with your life. And when you're hungry again, eat again. And that was it. But nowadays, it's been complicated. There's lots of people out there saying, oh, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way. You need electrolytes, you need liver, you need salt, or all these things. And I think people are getting a lot of mixed messages now, which they weren't back then. It was much easier.
So 9 years ago, though, like what were people around you saying when you were just eating meat and eggs?
Yeah, I didn't really talk about it that much in general. I mean, my family knew about it, and some people at work knew about it. I mean, my sister called it your crazy diet. That's what they said, and I think, out of love, but they were worried, as you would be, and people at work thought, oh well, but it won't last. You'll do that for a bit and then it'll stop or whatever. But I didn't.
Well, I mean, it's a long time. It's nearly a decade. So what is it that's kept you going?
Right. Well, I mean, I think it is good that I can eat as much as I want and not put on weight and feel great and always have energy and so on. Um, and it's just really simple. I can all my shopping is either at the butcher's or one aisle of the supermarket, and that's quick. Cooking takes the meat, heat the meat, eat the meat. That is a meal, right? So, um, yeah, so it's very easy to go. And as I say, I like I like eating, and so it's very good to be able to just you know I know I'm getting the right amount of food because I'm not putting on weight, but I'm also eating literally as much as I want to. Yeah. So I never have to go hungry. So it's like perfect diet in that respect. So and once you start, it might be hard, but it gets easier. The the last 8 years are much easier than the first one. And and so on. So that's a good message, I think.
Yeah. So how do you space out your meals in a day, and are
Um,
you eating just beef and eggs?
no, I'm eating very much wide variety. I eat like beef, pork, chicken, a bit of lamb. I have eggs. I don't have eggs that often, but yeah, I have them once or twice a week, maybe. And I have a bit of bacon sometimes, but not. But it's mainly more fresh meat than that. I'm pretty much 2 meals a day now. So breakfast, which can be I sometimes have an early breakfast, sometimes have a late breakfast, and then a dinner. So I don't eat much through the day. I used to when I started eat more often, so like sometimes 3 meals a day. But I think you just gradually, a lot of people find they drift to 1 or 2 meals a day. That's what I've found. I mean, if I can get by on one meal a day, if I want to, I can eat enough at a meal so that I'm not hungry for the rest of the day. But I don't often particularly want to do that. But but so two is what suits me fine.
So, do you ever eat out? And is like,
Yeah.
or do you socialize much with friends
Um,
in restaurants and stuff?
eating out is difficult, and I must admit that when I eat out, which isn't often, I tend to go off the diet a bit. So I try to sort of at least be keto or animal based. I mean, there are some restaurants where you can stay carnivore, like the Brazilian, um, or you can eat meat barbecue type things. So there, I'm happy to to eat. But other places, I do the best I can. So I'm not uh, I'm not 100% strict, but I am when I cook for myself. See what I mean? But I don't worry too much because I don't go out. It's not like I'm eating out twice a week or anything like that. So it's
Yeah. Um, I guess like it's also it's good for the budget as well, right? Because eating this way stops you. It almost it makes you not want to eat out, so you don't spend as much money on that food, right?
there is that. There is that. I mean, it's also good that there's no wasted food. I don't recall the last time I threw out some food I'd bought it and hadn't cooked it. Whereas before, there's always, oh, that bit of that vegetable's gone off or that fruit's gone off or so on. But yeah, that never happens now. Yeah, so
Yeah. O Over the 9 years, have you had anyone around you go, "Oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna give it a try."
yes, my conversion rate is one. I've my wife has switched to carnivore. I mean, she went low carb and then gradually went to carnivore. And is now basically carnivore as well. I mean, she's a type 1 diabetic, so it's quite she's done her quite a lot of good in that sense. So um, I can talk about that a bit if you want about her. um, yeah. Um, so I mean, she's in pretty good control of her blood sugar anyway. She was beforehand, but now it's much better. She's taking far less insulin. She was like taking 24 units of quick acting insulin a day. Is down to about 7 now. She lost feeling in her fingers about 15 years ago, and that's coming back, which is amazing, I think. And her HB A1C is now at a kind of non-diabetic level. So she's doing very well on it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, very pleased. And I think, as she says, her eyes are a bit better as well. She had some minor eye issues, but yeah, so seems to be doing her a lot of good, which is great actually. But yeah, no, I've not really managed to persuade anyone else to go to it. I mean, my younger sister did try it for a bit, and then just stopped. But but she goes low carb whenever she wants to lose weight, so she kind of knows about it, but she doesn't want to go the whole hog, as it were.
Yeah, she'll be over to carnivore eventually. That's what I was like, like always going back to Atkins or keto, on and off, on and off, on and off. And eventually, when you get to carnivore, there's a
Mm.
point in your life, I think, that you go, yeah, I'm just going to stick here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think her issue, I think, was that she was like cooking for the family a lot, or eating with the family, and that makes it harder. Whereas we kind this household, we kind of all eat separately anyway, so we're all doing our own thing. So although my wife is carnivore and I'm carnivore, she cooks her meal, I cook mine, and there we go. So that's how it generally works. But yeah, no, I've not really had any influence on anybody.
So do you remember, I mean, 9 years is a long time, but do you remember going back when you got started, did you have any improvement in oral health? A lot of people talk about oral health improvements like no longer having halitosis or bleeding gums, things like that.
I mean, not particularly. I think my teeth felt cleaner. There was less, especially if you eat things like crisps or potato chips or whatever, you get that all stuck over your teeth, and then that wasn't there. But I don't recall anything apart from that. Otherwise, I mean, my teeth have always been pretty good. I've not really got any fillings or anything. So, I mean, my diet was never really bad throughout my life. It was, but yeah. So,
So do you mind telling me how old are you now?
54. I'm going to be 55 in a couple of months. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're looking good at 54. I thought I was older than you, so you're looking good.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the things I noticed when I sort of joined the carnival community in the early days was just how good everybody looked. They looked healthy. They didn't look fat and they didn't look thin, and they all looked younger than their age. I thought, okay, well, this is good. I mean, and I think I'm the same. I don't, not for me to judge, but nice of you to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been you would have been starting that then, I guess,
Yeah.
45 years old around.
45. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And how long were you doing it on your own before your wife decided to join you?
Well, I mean, I've only been married a couple of years, so I didn't know my wife at the time. So, but she sort of started migrating over fairly soon after we got together. And she's been carnivore for like 2 or 3 years, or at least carnivore adjacent for some of that, and carnivore
Right.
now.
So when you first met, what was her reaction when you said, "I'm only eating steak," or
um, I don't quite remember, but I think her thought was, "You're looking good on it." So so whatever you're doing, and yeah, I don't. She never said anything. She never said anything about, "Oh, that's crazy," or, "You sure you should be doing that?" So she just accepted it, really. Which is very, very good.
Nice. So, if one of your friends came to you and said, "Look, Eric, I've seen how well you've been doing over these years. I want to get started on carnivore myself." What advice would you offer them?
Well, I'd say dive straight in. Um, it is really simple. As I say, when you're hungry, eat fatty meat until you're full, and that's it. That's your one sentence thing. And I think, the hardest thing about diet is psychological, isn't it? It's not difficult eating a lot of nice food. So so you've got to, and I think a lot of, there's a saying: the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and a journey of 1,000 miles is just one step after another. And you know, a change of diet starts with a single meal, and it's just one meal after another. So you don't. The hardest thing is thinking, "Oh God, I can never eat that again. I can never have a biscuit again, or never have a cake again, or whatever." So no, I'm just not going to have it for this meal. That's easy. And then you do that, say, "Yeah, you did it." And then the next meal, you say, "I'm just not going to have it for this meal," and you do it again. Just repeat. It's easy to do it for one meal. Just repeat that over and over again, and that's kind of how you do it, and how you keep going. And and if you fail at a meal, you just say, "Okay, that's behind me. It's the next meal. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it." And that's how you. And then see. And I would also say that, you know another thing, that back in the day, the message was that it's not a weight loss diet. It's a health diet, and which will lead to weight loss in the end. And so look for how you're feeling, rather than for whether you weigh. If you don't lose any weight for the first few weeks, first few months, it doesn't matter if you're feeling better. Yeah, there's being overweight is associated with a lot of diseases: diabetes, stroke, arthritis, cancers, and all sorts and all sorts. And so there's a feeling that being overweight causes that, but it doesn't really. It's That's a classic correlation is not causation thing. I mean, I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of people who have been overweight, had a lot of illnesses. They've started the diet and then within 2 weeks, my blood pressure came down, or within, all my arthritis pain went away. And they were still overweight at the time. They what was causing their disease was exactly the same thing that was causing them to be overweight. And so they stopped that, and they cure their disease, and the weight will come off in the end. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is to sort your body out, and then it will lose the weight in its own good time. Nowadays, you see so many people saying, "Oh my God, I've been on for 3 weeks. I've not lost any weight. What do I need to do?" And everyone keeps telling them, "Do this, do that, do." That's not the thing, is it? I don't think. You just need to carry on as you were, and how are you feeling? Don't worry about the weight.
Yeah, I think that's good, really good advice, and I think that should be kind of carnivore policy. Whenever anyone asks a question like that on Facebook, all the answers should just be carry on.
I'm not that active on social media. I am on a few of the Reddit carnivore forums, and I do tend to answer like that. So I've been carnivore for 9 years. Just do this. Just carry on. Just don't. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You just keep going. Yeah. But yeah, that's
Yeah. No, it's really good advice. I like just taking it a one meal at a time, not beating yourself up if you do something wrong, and
yeah.
just focus on, I'm feeling better. That's really good advice.
That's right.
Um, so Eric, do you have any way of reaching out to you? Do you have a YouTube channel, Instagram, anything like that?
I don't really know. I mean, as I say, I am on Reddit. So my username is ZC_Eric on Reddit, and I'm happy to answer any questions people want to ask.
Yeah, that's great. I'll link to your Reddit user ID in the show notes. And Eric, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's been fun.